Hello viewers, the die is cast and the gladiators are set to go on the political turf in Nigeria for the 2019 general elections. And on Grand Times Africa, we shall be taking a look at some of the big stories trending in the polity. We shall be having incisive interviews, reviews and previews on political actors. You don't want to miss a moment on this show. Don't go nowhere. We will be right back after this break.
His Royal Highness Hilary Ikima Tekwande III has blessed the governorship aspirations of Dr. Paul Angya when he came to seek for his blessings against the 2019 elections in Benue State. Determined to deliver good governance to the people of Benue, the former Director General of Standards Organization of Nigeria, Paul Angya, paid a courtesy visit on the Tekwande III to advance this cause in disclosing his governorship aspirations in Benue to the Kwande Traditional Council. He outlined his socio-economic revival plan, which he said will create jobs and take unemployed youths off the streets by setting up state orientation camps to equip the youths with skills set required in a global economy. He stressed that he would restore toll ticketing on the roads to generate revenue for the state, where the cry over unpaid salaries would be a thing of the past. Also, the gubernatorial hopeful, Dr. Paul Angya, reiterated that revamping and lifting Benue economy out of the woods remains non-negotiable, as he would revive the fruit processing industry that a former governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Moses Oshio Adasu, started, and which has been abandoned by succeeding administrations since the late clergyman's administration was truncated by the intervention of the military in the politics of state by General Abacha's military regime. Earlier, the powers, the people and the politics came together as they thronged the country home of Dr. Paul Angya to show their sign of last respect to late evangelist Dembihin Judith Angya, the wife of the uncle of the governorship hopeful. The former Attorney General of the Federation, Barrister Mike Aundaka, was in attendance. Dr. Paul Angya decried a situation where President Muhammadu Buhari visited Benue State and did not and could not find a single project to commission.
You're welcome back. And on set with me today is some guest you would certainly want to meet time and again. He is the former Director General of Standards Organization of Nigeria. An erudite scholar he is, and he is a learned gentleman. I am talking about no other person than Dr. Paul Angya, a gubernatorial hopeful in Benue State for the 2019 elections. Sir, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Collins.
So what would you have done differently to pull Benue out of the woods of a ne'er-do-well state as it is now?
If I were to become the governor tomorrow, what would I do differently? There's a lot I would do differently. First of all, I'll tackle the issue of unemployment, insecurity, collapse of road networks, and try to upgrade and raise the revenue base of Benue to be able to take on the other challenges. And I'll simply do this in the first place. All that large number of young people that are unemployed, that are roaming the streets, that are constituting a cesspool for crime, I'll take them off the streets. I will create orientation camps in Benue, probably in all senatorial districts of Benue. And I will take a census of these young people. I will invite the National Identity Management scheme commission to come into Benue, and at this point we will invite all the young people in Benue, both educated and uneducated, who are unemployed, who will be enumerated and given national identification. And thereafter we will put all of them in those orientation camps, and we will give them a basic reorientation of 3 months. We will infuse in them a sense of discipline, a sense of purpose, and probably imbue in them certain skills that are necessary for survival in a downtrodden and backward society, totally collapsed society like ours.
Okay.
And after about 3 months, with a lot of discipline and sense of purpose and focus, I will first tackle the collapse of the road networks. Without any major funding or looking for funding, I would deploy a large number of these young people onto the roads. Manual rehabilitation, because these roads are death traps. They are gullies. I will advise you to go out with your crew and take videos of the Benue roads, where you find vehicles have to negotiate valleys and mountains on the highways. So we'll get out there with our crew, our road gangs. We'll re-establish the old road gangs that used to work under the Ministry of Works. They used to have road camps, and they lived in hostels and went out in the mornings to maintain the roads, even when there were no tarred roads back in those days. We didn't find potholes or gullies on the roads, because there were road gangs that were working on the roads daily, that were maintaining the roads, creating drainages and clearing the grass and bushes around the roads to get a clear view for drivers and transport and travelers. And so we'll re-establish this road gangs, road camps, and a lot of these young people who are uneducated but who have the physical strength, we'll put them on these roads, and we'll provide engineers that will supervise daily maintenance of our roads. And then we will toll the roads. Thereafter we will toll the roads. So if we toll the roads, for instance, between Makurdi and Boko, we can estimate fairly that about 10,000 vehicles, a minimum, ply that road within 24 hours. And if you say about 10,000 vehicles and you impose a basic minimum toll of about 200 naira per vehicle, from the small private vehicles to the big trailers, cement trailers that destroy the road, and you impose a fine of a toll of about between 2, 3, 4, 5,000 naira. At the end of every month, you should be able to net at least 600 million on the single road between Makurdi and Boko. You should be able to net at least 600 million. Now, if you are able to bring in 600 million naira, if the wage bill for this roadmen, these road gangs, if the wage bill is about 100 million, you can comfortably pay it off. And then you should have at least about 500 million naira with which you can now go and begin to offset staff salaries, teacher salaries. You can begin to use to revive the moribund industries. For instance, the previous administrations of Apereku and Adasu had established industries. You had the fruit juice industry, you had burnt bricks industry, ceramics, you had the cattle ranch in Klogen. You had a series of industries that were established by previous administration, which have collapsed, and attempts at tomato processing or paste making factory establishment. All those things are moribund and lying in waste, and so you will generate enough money from this exercise on the roads. And we're talking about just one road. So if we do this, we will replicate this on Makurdi Otukpo, Makurdi Boko, Boko Ihu, Boko Katsina Ala Zakibiam. Then you should be able to harvest at least 2 to 3 billion on our roads monthly in Benue State. And so you would have succeeded in taking these children off the streets, away from crime. You will have succeeded in reducing unemployment, because you have now engaged them, you've given them employment, so you've sorted out the problem of unemployment. You've put them on the road gangs, they are rehabilitating the road, so you solve the problem of total collapse of the road networks.
If I may ask, you would have to put the road gangs, the youths,
on this, on the roads now.
Yeah.
You have to get them engaged. They are gainfully employed,
Yeah.
as the case is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But it will be after then that you are talking about towards.
Of course, of course.
How are you able to, sustain their wages? Because it's becoming a recurring decimal in Benue State that salaries, unpaid salaries, is the order of the day or the hallmark of Benue State and governance. Because you are going to put these youths on road gangs before you start getting the tickets from the toll gates.
Yes, like I told you, first of all, of course you have to invest.
Okay.
You have to invest. And people are not paid salaries when they are in orientation camp. You are paid at best allowances. At best allowances, but first you need to give them a basic training and sense of discipline.
Okay.
You can't put people who are unruly, who are ungovernable into any systemic and organized sector. So first you have to take them off the streets. You have to give them a sense of discipline, because a lot of these young people, like I told you, are the cesspool, the source of insecurity in Benue. They are indisciplined, they are indiscriminate in their thoughts and in their ideas and in their doings. So you have to imbue in them a sense of purpose and discipline. And then when you have done that, during that time, of course, you'll be responsible for maintaining them. Okay. You'll be responsible. The state has to do something. And when you have done that, then you put them to work. And when you put them to work, this is a daily activity, a daily chore which they'll be doing. And once the roads, it won't take up to a month. If you have the road camp stretching the length of you probably have the road camp in every district along the road. So they go out in the mornings, they have each group have sectors in which they are working. So within 1 month you should be able to have that road in a habitable, you will have been able to have rehabilitated that road. So within 1 month of my administration, I should be able to mount digitalized toll gates. Not manual. Put digitalized toll gates, and that can be powered by as much as just one power battery. Just one battery with an inverter or some solar panel. And these are activities that will cost you less than 1 million naira to put up one. Just about 1 million naira to digitalize a toll gate here, such that vehicles plying these roads will pay those minimal amounts of money, which I have already told you about, and they are not paying to individuals who will siphon or steal the money. And by the way, we are going to digitalize all revenue collections in Benue to eliminate the opportunity for leakages, to eliminate opportunities for theft of government monies. So people are no longer going to be handling revenue generation. We will provide digitalized machines all over the local environment, both local and the ones in the cities. Where people will have to pay, no matter, even if you are paying fines or charges for as little as 5 naira in the local markets. We have a digitalized box there where an old woman can put 5 naira, which will generate a receipt for her. And so all the local government people need to do, or the inspector or supervisor needs to do, is to ask her for her receipt and confirm that this is a receipt generated from that machine. And once that money drops in that machine, the tally, the records go to a central data system, so that Benue State is able to harvest its real revenue. And so that is what we'll do with the toll gates. So these young men will rehabilitate the roads, tolls will be collected, and from these tolls their salaries will be paid. That is what I said in the first place. And then secondly, there are quite a number that is educated, which we will deploy. We will re-establish the sanitary inspection cadre, health inspectors all around the state. The state of our environment is obnoxious. The state of our environment it makes you want to throw up. If you look at the environment in Benue, starting from the state capital to the villages. So we will bring back the health inspectorate divisions, young people who will go out and clean up our cities and make sure that our cities look clean, even if they are not rich. And for this also, people will pay charges. If you cannot maintain your environment, if your houses are dirty, if it is filled up with overgrown grass or waste and you can't move it, we move it for you or we clean it for you, but you pay minimum charges. And from there we generate revenue, which will go into the central revenue treasury of the state.
Wouldn't the charges be considered as high-handedness on the part of the government?
Well, you must pay for what you gain. No pain, no gain. You must pay for it. But secondly, if you can keep your environment clean, then you don't have to pay. If you come to my house and my environment is clean, all you do is give me a thumbs up.
Okay.
And you walk away. But if you come and my environment is defiling the entire street,
okay,
then I have a responsibility to the community to keep my environment clean. And that is what is done all over the world. Okay. If you go to the US, you go to the UK, you have a duty to keep your lawns clean. If your lawns are not clean, they give you a warning. If you can't do it, the public worksman will clean it up and they give you a charge. Okay. So that is what we will do. We are not going to compel you to pay. But for instance, what about waste disposal? Shouldn't you pay to dispose of your waste? Or why will you weigh the issue of waste littered around and waste disposal, weigh the benefits and advantages of charging somebody perhaps 100 naira monthly to dispose of your waste, or allowing waste to litter around the state and become an eyesore and a health hazard? Don't you think that government has a duty to do this, but also that government must raise funds to do it? So we are talking about minimal charges. What is 100 naira to you? But cumulatively, 100 naira per every house becomes a lot of money for the government. So you keep the streets clean, you keep the city clean, and you also generate revenue to pay the people who are keeping it clean.
Revenue.
That's how it works.
Yeah, revenue.
If you don't pay taxes, you don't expect much from the government. The problem now is that, and these things I'm telling you are nothing new, they are already in existence.
Okay.
In some cases they are being charged, but they are going into private pockets.
Okay.
And that is why I'm saying that we will digitalize revenue collection in Benue. Okay. We are not going to bring in or introduce new taxes, okay, or new charges. These are existing charges.
Okay.
But they are being mismanaged,
okay,
or sometimes being neglected.
Okay. Looking at your background from where you were coming from, talking about industrialization, talking about standardization and how it affects the economy. Coming from that background, how do you intend to make the most of your strength?
Yeah, like I told you before, before you can improve on the economy, you have to create an enabling environment for that economy to thrive. What kind of environment do we have? I've already told you that the markets in Benue State, which are a major source of revenue, because the farmers trade their products at the Benue markets. I told you that the markets have collapsed. They are no longer attracting traders because the road networks into Benue have collapsed. Okay? And the road networks have collapsed because they are not being maintained. And we have insecurity also, which is keeping people away from Benue. We have insecurity because a large number of people are unemployed. So when we take these young people off the streets, we reduce the level of insecurity. When we put them to work, we create employment. When we create employment, we will rehabilitate the roads. When we rehabilitate the roads, traders will begin to be able to come into Benue freely and easily at a minimal cost to their persons and their vehicles. There will be sufficient security in Benue to attract traders and visitors. And when visitors and traders come, the markets will pick up. When the markets pick up, the business environment will improve and revenue will be generated. Benue people will begin to get revenue and income from their produce, from their products, which are basically agricultural products. So the markets, the oranges that are getting rotten, that are not being picked up, will begin to be picked up by people who can come into Benue and pick it up. The yams will begin to find markets. The fruits, the tomatoes, the peppers and the vegetables will begin to find, traders will begin to come in to take them out and will pay for them. So the economy of Benue will begin to improve and will begin to generate sufficient revenue to pay staff salaries. So you begin to raise revenue to pay staff salaries, and when you pay staff salaries, you will also have something to be able to revive the moribund industries. And we can start with the fruit juice processing factory. That is one of the quick takeaways, the low-hanging fruits. And when you revive the fruit juice processing factory, and the vegetable oil. So from creating the enabling environment, rehabilitating the roads, that action alone will take those young people from off the streets, give them employment. It will reduce crime. It will rehabilitate the roads. It will improve the inflow of business, and then it will improve our revenue base, with which we will pay their salaries, with which we can rehabilitate, revive moribund industries. With just that one single action of taking those young men and putting them to work. Those crop of young men can also be put to sanitation, sanitizing our cities, our villages. And a lot of those young people will be trained as agricultural extension workers. We'll go and revive the agri centers in the districts. In time past, you had agri centers in districts. These were the engine room, the machine for reviving the agricultural sector. That was the machine for the massive agricultural produce that you had in Benue State. That is what earned for us the name Food Basket of the Nation.
Don't go nowhere. We will be right back after this break.
Now I have looked at Dr. Angya's profile and the things he has been able to do, and I feel that he has acquired much mental magnitude that if given the mandate, he can do. So I feel the positions Dr. Angya had and is holding have acquainted him with how best he could be able to harness these things for Benue. Remember, Benue has agricultural potentials awaiting him.
There are many things to say, because as I see, Dr. Paul Angya is a man of vision, is a man of ability. Due to his knowledge and his experience as a barrister, I know that he will be capable to occupy the position, as far as he has a good wife who has held various positions in various places. The wife will help him in taking other decisions.
Your parting word to our viewers out there.
Yeah, my parting words to our viewers out there is, let them be discerning in electing their leaders. Let them for once, let Benue's people for once elect its leaders. Let Benue people not be sitting duck and sit down and have leaders anointed and selected for them. We shouldn't have persons who sit in the comfort of their air-conditioned bedrooms and anoint candidates in the bedrooms and bring them out and announce them as the rulers over us. And where we do not have the opportunity to interrogate these candidates, we do not have the opportunity to evaluate them, to assess them, and to have them evaluate us, and to have them tell us exactly what they will do for us when they become governors. And so when these people become governors, their loyalty is not to the people of Benue. Their loyalty is to the people who anointed them. And so Benue people continue to be neglected. Salaries are not being paid in Benue State, but the anointers, the godfathers, are not complaining. The roads have collapsed. Some of those godfathers have helicopters they fly to their villages with. They are not plying the roads with us. There is no electricity. Our children are out of school. Their children are not out of school. So you need to elect someone who will feel your pain, who will know your pain, and who will work with you to change the status quo. But if you continue to wait for the leadership givers to give you leaders, you will continue to have leadership collapse in Benue State. So our people must take up the responsibility of selecting their leaders. And then the only way to do this is by massively embracing the voter registration exercise. I will encourage until government revenue begins to go to solve government problems and stops going into private pockets, until the people believe that power flows from the leaders believe that power flows from the people of Benue. their loyalty will remain to third parties and not to the people of Benue. Our economy will continue to collapse. So Benue people, get up, select and elect your leaders. Don't take leaders from godfathers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paul Angya, the governorship hopeful of Benue State in the 2019 elections. You heard it all from the horse's mouth. He said he is taking his flag to run for governor of Benue on the Labour Party, a party he says can relate with the wishes and yearnings and aspirations of the masses. Perhaps we have had a recurring decimal in Benue where the workers have not been paid time and again salaries by successive administrations. It did not only happen with the APC government, it happened with the erstwhile administration that was run by the People's Democratic Party. Workers were not paid salaries in Benue, and he's still been talking about insecurity. He said how he would put an end to it just when he gets the youths off the streets. And he talked about revenue, how he would revamp the economy. You don't want to go anywhere. We'll be bringing to you a lot of trending stories in the polity you don't want to miss. Once again, it's been Collins Vejima. youths of the streets. And he talked about revenue, how he would revamp the economy. You don't want to go anywhere. We'll be bringing to you a lot of trending stories in the polity you don't want to miss. Once again, it's been Collins Vejima.